The Fletcher 3000 cuts glass, acrylic plastic, and cardboard products quickly and efficiently. The purpose of this presentation is to show how to install the machine, the technique of using it safely and efficiently, and maintaining it so it will provide years of profitable use. Inspect the carton and the machine to be sure it was not damaged in shipment. If so, contact your carrier and file a claim. The owner's manual should be removed. Inside, you will find the warranty card and envelope. Please return it to the Fletcher Terry Company as soon as you finish the installation. The lower wall mounting bracket, the brackets for the right and left support assemblies, and an angle bracket are on top of the lower left foam shipping block. Stapled to the inside of the carton, you will find a parts bag which you need for installation and use. On the right side of the box is the upper wall bracket and a tube which contains the right support assembly which will be attached to the machine during installation. It is important to observe good safety practices. Wear safety glasses while using tools and assembling machine components. These items are found in the parts bag. Hex head wood screws to attach the brackets to the wall, 1/4-20 bolts, nuts, and washers to attach the machine to the wall brackets, a shoulder screw which locates the right support squaring edge bar to the machine, 1032 hex head screws and flathead screws for the right support brace, hex head screws, Phillips screws, and nuts to mount the 2 horizontal supports. In addition, the parts bag contains 20 steel glass cutting wheel units, 10 plastic scoring blades, and 10 mat cutting blades. You will also find a cleaning brush and hex wrenches. 2 wall brackets are provided. The long one is the upper bracket and will be mounted to the wall first. It has 6 holes in the straight leg which are used to mount to the wall. The tapered leg will attach to the machine. This bracket is used for both the 60-inch and 48-inch machines. 6 elongated holes are provided. The 60-inch machine will use the top 2 and bottom 2 elongated holes. The 48-inch machine will use the top 2 and middle 2 elongated holes. These elongated holes permit the machine to be mounted on a wall that may not be completely flat. The left and right support brackets and the angle bracket are also shown. These are the tools required for installation. You will need an adjustable wrench or socket set, Phillips head screwdriver, tape rule, plumb bob or level, straight edge at least 48 inches long, a pencil, and an electric drill to drill pilot holes for the wood screws. The wall brackets should be mounted into studs. If not practical, mount a plywood sheet securely to the wall first. The top of the upper bracket should be 92 inches above the floor for a 60-inch machine or 80 inches for a 48-inch machine. We will install a 48-inch Fletcher 3000. Mark the wall just above the flange of the upper bracket. Drive a nail partially into the wall at this location and hang a plumb bob string so the upper wall bracket can be mounted vertically. You can hold a level along the edge of the bracket if a plumb bob is not available. Hold the upper bracket at the height you marked and line it up vertically while marking the 6 wood screw locations. Drill pilot holes with a drill slightly smaller than the wood screws and mount the upper bracket with 6 hex head wood screws. Be sure they are tight. Attach the lower wall bracket to the machine with 1/4-20 bolts, nuts, and washers. Tighten them securely. Have an associate, or preferably 2, lift the machine and hold it in place while you install 4 1/4-20 bolts, nuts, and washers to the machine and the upper bracket. Drill 3 wood screw pilot holes in the wall using the lower bracket holes as guides. The lower bracket should rest flush against the wall. If not, slightly loosen the 1/4-20 bolts in the upper bracket and position the machine so the lower bracket is flush. Then tighten the mounting bolts fully. Insert and fully tighten the 3 hex head screws in the lower bracket. Install the horizontal support bracket to the left horizontal support and the wall. Hold it in place and mark the wall for drilling as before. Be sure it fits without bending the left support. If necessary, shim this bracket at the wall. Do not omit this step because the bracket is necessary to assure a solid, rigid installation. The right support assembly, which was shipped in a tube, consists of the right squaring edge bar, right aluminum extrusion, and a brace. Use the hex wrench provided and loosen the eccentric screw just enough to allow the eccentric nut to turn. Attach the brace to the aluminum extrusion with flathead screws, washers, and nuts. Do not tighten the nuts fully until later. Use 1/4-20 bolts, washers, and nuts, and attach the angle bracket to the top left of the aluminum extrusion. The short leg of the angle bracket will point upward. Do not fully tighten the nuts yet. Set the assembly aside. A similar angle bracket is already installed on the machine to hold the left support, which was factory assembled. Remove the 2 nuts and the washers from this bracket and set them aside. They will be reinstalled shortly. The right support assembly can now be installed on the machine. Slide the squaring edge bar in the slot in the vertical extrusion and line up the holes. The shoulder screw will provide precision location of the right support. Insert the shoulder screw and attach a flat washer, lock washer, and nut in the rear. Do not fully tighten yet. The 2 socket head screws can now be installed at the upper end of the brace. At this point, all the screws holding the right support are still loose. The 1/4-20 nuts and washers, which were removed from the angle bracket, should be reinstalled and fully tightened. As you can see, both angle brackets are now attached to the vertical extrusion of the machine. In sequence, fully tighten the shoulder bolt in back and the screws at both ends of the brace. The horizontal support bracket can now be attached to the wall and the right support, just as you did with the left horizontal support. Be sure it fits without bending the right support. The eccentric nut on the right support is still loose, and we will now align the right squaring edge bar with the left using a long straight edge. Slide the straight edge from the left so it is resting on both squaring edge bars. Note that it can rock, which means the 2 bars are not yet in line. Rotate the eccentric nut in the rear and observe the right squaring edge bar being raised until it just touches the straight edge. At this time, hold the eccentric nut so it cannot turn and tighten the button head screw in front. This will lock the squaring edge bar in its proper position. The scale in the right support will now be secured. Slide the scale out to the right and turn it over to see the double-sided tape on the back of the scale. Peel off the protective paper. Lay a ruler on the squaring edge bars and slide it to a position where the glass cutting wheel is exactly in line with the 2-inch index mark. Slide the yellow scale until its 4-inch mark is lined up exactly with the 6-inch mark on the ruler. Press on the right end of the scale to adhere the double-sided tape. The machine is now fully installed and we're ready to put cutting blades on the turret. The Fletcher 3000 is shipped with a glass cutting wheel unit installed in the turret. We need to add the plastic cutting blade and the mat cutting blade to complete the installation. It is easier to add or change cutting blades and wheels by removing the turret. Depress and hold the short thumb lever. Raise the head to a convenient height. Depress the detent pin, then release the thumb lever. This will lock the turret in a retracted position, making it easier to remove. Unscrew the turret stem completely, and the turret can be taken to a work surface for convenience. You should refer to the illustrations in the owner's manual to determine where the mat and plastic cutting blades mount. Their positions are not interchangeable. Loosen the screw for the plastic cutting blade and slide a new blade in place. Be very careful to orient this blade in the correct direction as shown in the manual. Normally you do not have to completely remove the mat blade screw, but in this case remove it to see how the mat blade is located on the turret. Notice the round projection under the screw head. The hole in the blade fits around this projection, which provides exact location of the blade. Be certain the blade is properly seated before tightening the screw, otherwise the projection will be damaged. Tighten both screws fully. The glass cutting wheel is mounted in a replaceable unit. When it is worn and needs to be replaced, pry the unit out of the turret with a paper clip. Orient the replacement as shown in the manual and push it to a fully seated position in the slot in the turret. Reinstall the turret in the cutting head. Be sure it is detented properly in one of its 3 positions before tightening the stem. Notice the 2 thumb levers, one shorter than the other. The longer one is used to break out plastic and will be explained later. The short thumb lever, when depressed, will rock the cutting tool away from its cutting position. All cutting and scoring is done on the downstroke of the head. Therefore, the short thumb lever is held depressed while you raise the head above the material to be cut. This enables the cutting tool to clear the material on the upstroke. It is easy to change the turret from one cutting tool to another. Depress the short thumb lever. Push the detent pin in while releasing the short thumb lever. Then let go of the detent pin. You will see the cutting tool is again locked away from its cutting position. The turret can now be rotated to a different cutting tool. Hold the head at a convenient height. Loosen the turret knob about 2 full turns. Pull the turret stem to the right against spring pressure. Now rotate the turret to the blade you wish to use. Release the stem while rotating it slightly to be sure it seats in one of its 3 possible positions. Retighten the locking knob. When you now depress the short thumb lever, the detent will release automatically and the cutting tool will return to its cutting position. Handle glass